exactly?
Well, here's the thing. It's very hard to tell certain entrepreneurs, watch out for this. Some things people need to learn the hard way, and being a competition factory is a classic. Being a competition factory is when one of your employees, usually one of your best employees, not only leaves your company,
Yes.
but leaves your company with half your computer system and half your customers. And I've seen it happen so many times, I can almost count the progression. The first time you're hurt, the second time you're really hurt, the third time you call me up and say, Jack, you know that non-compete agreement you've been talking about?
Sure.
I finally want to do it.
So you're saying do a non-compete. That's one of the things you want to focus on.
That is. There are several techniques for battling against being a competition factory. The bottom line is you owe your employees a lot. You owe them respect. You owe them fair compensation. You owe them good training. You owe them the ability to grow within your organization. But you don't owe them the keys to your business, okay? And so if you don't owe them the keys to your business, here are some techniques. One is non-compete agreements where they're legal. For example, they're not legal in California.
Sure.
Okay? You have to watch out in every case what local law is. In addition, make sure they can't take other employees with you. That'd be a non-solicitation agreement. Make sure they can't solicit your customers as well. That's also a non-solicitation agreement. Build up your brand so customers want to work with you. Nordstrom's not worried when one of their salespeople leaves. Nordstrom's got a great brand. They've built up this real identity with shopping at Nordstrom's, not with shopping with a particular salesperson. There's other things that you can do as well, like having your customers work with teams of your employees. That creates an institutional bond with your business, so you avoid the situation where there's only one representative with your company that they're dealing with, who, if that person were to leave, would disrupt the bond with your company.
We see that in a situation, excuse me, we see that in a situation where we're recruiting from some of the big firms, Wall Street firms.
Yes.
And a lot of them are on teams. And you know, the people we work with are at our end, the recruiting, said, well, if they're on a team, it's hard to take them because it's going to be very difficult for them to bring their accounts over.
That's right, and they do that on purpose. They do that on purpose. And when I'm counseling the company, I'm all for institutionalizing the business with teams.
No, it's practical and it's legal because if it's a solo practitioner and they go over, there's a little reciprocation between the firms where they're allowed to take it over. But if they're part of a team, that reciprocation doesn't exist.
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, a lot of things that you're saying are true. It's one of the things I hear about, though, is a credit crisis. Credit is really tight. And people are saying, well, one of the first things you need to do to build a business is you got to have some money in the bank.
That's right.
How difficult has it been for the people you've been working with to actually get some money together?
Yeah, it's an excellent point. You know, of the four things that I mentioned that are the four keys, the third one is sustainability. Sustainability is your ability to get through the tough times. And 1 out of 3 businesses, as you know, will fail within the first 3 years due to lack of capital. Because most businesses just don't start with enough money. I had one client, great millworking guy. He built a desk for a vice president, a U.S. vice president, and he did a home edition for a U.S. senator. He was that much in demand. He still went out of business because he didn't have enough capital to fund all the various projects that he had. So you have to think of what can I do with less capital. I have 2 what I call savvy substitutes. One is start small. So many people, when they start a business, it's their dream and they jump into it with both feet. I'd rather a successful hot dog stand for 5 years, save your money, and then open the restaurant.
Sure.
Than jump into the restaurant without enough money and close in 6 months because you ran out of money.
Do one thing really well that you have a lot of control over, that you understand, and then build from there.
Exactly right. Start small is one way. Another way is go to a few people who like your services. Let's say you're an architect and there's a few people who really love your services. You're at a big architectural firm, you don't have a non-compete hypothetically, and you go to a few of the people who really love you after you've left, because you can't do competition before you leave legally, and say, listen, I'll provide you with my services at a 25% discount for the next year or 2 if you guarantee you'll use me for the next year or 2. It's a great deal for them because they already like your services, and it covers your overhead, it helps pay your support staff, and maybe puts a little money in your pocket. That idea of guaranteed business, I've seen many people use to carry them through the lean years, and it replaces the chunk of capital you might otherwise need to start your business.
Excellent. Okay, why don't you hold right there?
Certainly.
We'll be right back after this public service announcement. Please stay tuned.
How you feel? How you feel?
I'm feeling good. Spin me, spin me.
Got you.
Oh, goodness. Oh.
Welcome back to Money Matters and our discussion with Jack Garson on his book, How to Build a Business and Sell It for Millions. Jack, so this has been good. I'm really I learned quite a bit. I can't wait to finish the rest of the book. But you were recently in a quote in the New York Times about what business owners go through in regards to the emotional turmoil in selling their business. Why don't you talk a little bit about that? I would think it would just be elation or what else do they feel?
That's why it comes as such a shock to people when it's not elation.
It's hard to let go.
Yeah, well, it's hard to let go, but let's even go back up a step before the letting go part, because first what you find is that the buyer's due diligence team comes into your business like a bunch of stormtroopers, and whether they're doing it to try a negotiating technique or whether they're doing it because they're just insensitive, they criticize your records and your contracts and your ways of doing business. And what the buyer doesn't understand is this is the seller's baby. The seller has lost sleep. The seller has missed family reunions for this business.
Yeah.
And so you don't come in and talk that way.
Right.
A couple buddies
The
of
sellers
mine.
got divorced and remarried because of this. Right.
Yes,
right.
that's right.
The alienated kids, the alienated family, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
that's right. So you don't talk that way.
Right,
okay?
right.
A couple buddies of mine, they're getting ready. They're having me help them with the sales process. The buyer's due diligence team comes in from Ohio, and they're looking at the computer records and the contracts, and they start criticizing everything. And this was an unusual situation where it wasn't going to be a sale and then sever the umbilical cord. It was going to be a sale, and then they were going to join the new company and be presidents of that division. And
Sounds like a win-win-win.
It could have been.
Right.
Except the buyers were so nasty that the sellers, these two brother-in-laws, called me up and said, Jack, kill the deal. These people are so rude, we'd never work for them. And so one of the things that happens is a not so much defensiveness, but a sensitivity.
Sure.
When someone's coming in and criticizing your business. The first thing I tell the seller is, this is just another business transaction. Don't take it personally. Don't take it personally when they say your CFO isn't as strong as he or she should be. Don't take it personally when they criticize your products or your this or your that. It's another business deal. That's a hard thing for a lot of people to get over.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you're selling a house too. That's what I hear from the real estate agents.
Absolutely.
You know? Maybe that purple wall isn't the right, right color, and they take it. Oh well, how could you say that? It's
and you're so right. That's why the realtors kick the sellers out.
Yes.
They say, we don't want you there during the inspections. We don't want you hearing that they don't like the gold foil from 1970 in the kitchen.
Sure.
So that's one emotion. Another emotion that sneaks up and kills certain deals is that the sellers have become so intertwined in their business that their business is their identity. If they go to a party and someone says, tell me about yourself, they start talking about their business.
Sure.
If they're just talking to their spouse, it's about their business. Everything they do, they see the world through the prism of their business. And then I'm working on their deal and we're moving it along and we're conquering issues, and I notice this hesitation and this reluctance, and all of a sudden they're saying, did you see the shoes the buyer was wearing? I could never sell to somebody who wears shoes like that. And you're going, what's going on here?
Right.
Well, it's this seller's remorse where they're afraid to let go because they think post-business, their life is over.
Yes.
It's like that guy
no
or gal.
Hobbies, they got no hobbies.
They got nothing.
Right.
They think that, there's people
No friends.
who if they sign their will, they think they're going to die the next day.
Yeah.
Well, that's the way these people feel about their life with their business.
It's kind of like, it's kind of like the producer here. I mean, he's so focused on the studio, it's hard for him he's here all the time. It's 24/7.
So those are some of the surprising emotions that come up. And there's other things that happen as well. Some buyers, as a technique, will drag a deal out. You would say, why would they drag the deal out? Well, they want to see if the pro forma that the buyer gave them of the next quarter's and the next quarter's numbers come true. So they find excuses to drag the deal out to see if the sales and revenues are going to turn up the way they're supposed to.
This is the buyer.
This is the buyer dragging out the deal.
Yes.
Okay. Now the seller feels betrayed and loses trust and gets angry. That's another emotion that comes up all the time. I warn my folks all the time. They told you this is 3 to 6 months. Count on 9 to 12 months.
Sure.
Don't be upset when it drags on.
Yeah, that's kind of normal. Now, you also said you've written a couple articles for Smart CEO, which
Right.
we're both involved in. I think they're a great
right.
local DC organization, and I think, you know, but you said something about employee emails. How does that affect your ability to grow and sell your business for millions?
Well, I have a regular column every month called The Legal Edge in the Washington, D.C. Smart CEO. And I try to tackle issues that businesses haven't thought about, or at least haven't thought about before it's too late. And one of the things that many businesses are reluctant to do, understandably, is spy on their employees. It even feels bad to say those words.
Sure.
But I have dealt with countless situations now where somebody's leaving a company and they're emailing out contracts and customer lists. They're putting things on these little, what are those called? Those little keychain things.
Yeah, I know.
You know, where you can put a million books on there.
You're a technology wizard like
exactly.
me.
Yeah, of course. I've got someone for that. And they're putting all this information on there, and they're taking it out the door, and they're bringing it to the new company, and they're doing all kinds of things that are going to sabotage the business. That's when a business owner does care about monitoring emails. They don't really care about the personal lives of their employees as long as they're not doing anything illegal, but they don't want them making off with half the company. And that's where having the legal right to monitor employee emails and other communications, texts, tweets, emails, cell phone use, whatever it might be, becomes very important.
Yeah, that's funny. So you said maybe as a business owner, you shouldn't be a little bit obsessive compulsive, but here's one place where you actually should be. You should be a little bit more detail-oriented.
I think you need to have the right policy in place so when you have good reason, you can legally get at that information before it's too late.
All right, now if someone was going to, just to wrap up here, if someone was going to, what's the top 3 or 4 or 5 things that people should be doing? They want to start a business now and they want to grow it. What would you see, what's the most important things they should be doing or considering?
Well, I think for a startup, one of the most important things to do is put the time and the discipline into a business plan. Too many people rush past that.
Okay.
And you really do need to think things out and figure out whether you're going to be successful and show it to your harshest critics. So you really, don't show it to somebody who's going to say, whatever you do is wonderful. And then I think the other thing to do, without touting the book too much, is read the book. The book is all about the successes and failures of others. And what I've said to people is...
I liked it. It's very anecdotal. You tell a lot of stories in there. That's very helpful.
Yeah, the book can be a time machine for you. It can take you to a future where you have a successful business
like
by
that.
avoiding the successes, by avoiding the failures of others and enjoying the successes of others.
Excellent. Okay. And if somebody wanted to find out more about your practice or do you have a website? Or
Certainly.
I'm sure you do.
GarsonLaw.com for the law firm, and Biz by Garson for the book and the related consulting.
All right, Jack, thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. It's been a complete pleasure. Thank you.
And thank you very much for tuning in. We appreciate all the emails we've been getting about our show. If you have any ideas for any guests or topics you want to see, you can reach us at thomas.spottiswood@wfafinet.com. Look forward to seeing you next week. And remember, your money matters.